WNZK has available a few good hours of airtime for a few good programs to serve their communities. Radio is better than ever in targeting an audience that listens to what you say. Learn more about this exciting radio broadcasting opportunity by calling WNZK Radio at 248-557-3500. This is WNZK, Dearborn Heights, Detroit, your ethnic superstation at 690 days, 680 nights.
وسهلا بكل الذين ينضموا للاستماع إلى راديو بلدي أول راديو عربي أمريكي ويعنى بقضايا العرب في المهجر. برامجنا في راديو بلدي كل يوم جمعة من 8 وحتى 9 صباحا في بث حي ومباشر عبر WNZK راديو 690 AM. صباح الخير بلدي، صباح الخير لكل مستمعينا.
Welcome to Radio Baladi, the first Arab, Middle Eastern, and American simulcast radio show. Radio Baladi is broadcast every Friday morning on WNZK 690 AM from 8 until 9 Eastern Time on Good Morning Michigan. Call-in number 248-557-3300. And now, stay tuned for the best radio talk show on Arab and American issues.
And good morning, everybody. This is Ray Hanania at Radio Baladi on Friday, December 9, 2022. I'm guest hosting here at WNZK AM 690 every second Friday. And my radio show at Arab News will restart its season in April, probably April 1st. And we'll be on every week broadcasting there. But right now, I just want to give a nice shout out to Crystal Mayo, the host of the Motown Detroit program with all that wonderful music that precedes my show. It's always fun to listen to her. One day I'm going to have to do a dance program with her. Go to Arab and African American in Chicago and Detroit, and we'll do some music together where it's safe online. Okay. We have a great guest this morning, State Representative Cyril Nichols. He's a Democrat from the 32nd District. He's joining me this morning to discuss the need for Arab Americans and African Americans to work more closely together. He'll also talk about his legislation to grant Arab Americans in Illinois minority business enterprise status to give them access to 30% of the state's $40 billion in contracts. The legislation is modeled after legislation that was adopted right there in Michigan for Arab Americans. Very smart guy. Rep. Nichols has done more for Arab Americans in Illinois in his first year in office than most other legislators. There are some good legislators. I'm not knocking them, but I'm telling you, this guy, State Representative Nichols from the 32nd District, has done a lot. If you're not in Detroit, you can watch this program stream live on Facebook at facebook.com/US Arab Radio. That's facebook.com/US Arab Radio. And I want to welcome our guest, State Representative Cyril Nichols. Cyril, thank you for joining the program this morning.
No problem, man. Nothing like waking up to great music.
Oh, yeah. That Crystal Mayo, she does a great job with gospel music, blues. And some, that's one reason I just let the WNZK people know why I get up in Chicago early. It's 8 o'clock by them, but it's a little after 7 by us. So it's worth it just to hear that. So how are you doing?
Pretty good. Everything's going well.
Now you've been in office how long? About what, a year? Almost a
little more than 15 months.
15 months. And your district is like I like to look at it as a tarmac for an airplane to take off, because you go from Chicago all the way west into Bridgeview. You have one of the most diverse districts: African Americans, Hispanics, Asians, and at the left side, you're right in the heart of the Arab American community. And I don't think, because Arab Americans are involved in politics as much as they should, that you're one of their biggest representatives. They need to get to know you. And that's why I wanted to bring you on the radio, because what happens in Detroit spreads all over the country in our community.
I appreciate that, Ray. We have a lot of work to do in the 32nd District.
How do you keep everybody happy Everybody has a different interest. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your principles, what
Well,
you're interested in.
I wish I could keep everybody happy, but for the most part, we all want the same things, right? We want good schools, good parks, economic opportunities. We want safe neighborhoods, so at the end of the day, no matter what you believe in, be it Allah, Jesus, Buddha, we all want the same thing, and that's just peace and to love your fellow man. So, our principles out of our office is we do the work. And that encompasses listening to our constituents in the 32nd district so that we can actually bring back services, because that's what a state representative is. It's really simple. Your job is to bring back services to your district. And our district uniquely has actually earned a reputation of being everybody's rep. We don't limit ourselves. I'm a state representative for the entire state. Now I have a district that I represent, but we've been doing work for everywhere you can imagine in this state right now. We even went and did and represented Jackson. We brought water to Jackson, Mississippi, where there's a large Arabic community as well, right?
Right, I remember
we
that.
just didn't take water for the one community. We served everybody down there that where it was in need. So we filed legislation. People in Florida asked us to file, look at some post-COVID legislation too for upper respiratory infections. So yeah, we do the work, and we enjoy doing the work. I got an amazing team. That actually, this is not the Cyril Nichols show. It's like we all work together.
And what's interesting to me, that a lot of being Arab American in Illinois is almost like being in a vampire, in the sense that we look in the mirror and of our society, we don't see ourselves. So a lot of Arabs feel left out. They get angry. And here comes somebody that says, hey, I'm not going to leave you out. I'm going to include you. How has the response been in the district from the Arab American community? I'm sure you're going to get support, criticism, whatever, but generally, do you feel good about it? Have you met, are you encouraged by the community, people that you've met?
Yeah, one of the things that, so it's not a unique situation, right? I'm a Black man in America.
Right.
So I understand how it feels to be left out. But,
do we understand what you experienced?
Well, sometimes it's just it's a learning model too, right? Like, I had to learn it, and so what we do is we want to educate all communities on what a state budget is. We want to educate all communities on what government is and should be, right?
Yep.
Civics is not something that's taught in our communities, and this is the reason why we exist. I brought the speaker to the mosque, he's never been to the mosque, so I brought him to the mosque, and we were accepted, and we just answered questions, honest questions. And sometimes in both our communities, right, there's a perception that we can't work together. We have to really work hard at dealing with our own ideologies inside our own communities, right?
Right.
On top of the ideologies that people outside of our community, actually talk about every day. So we just need to be able to educate our communities on what's out there and how we can work together. And a coalition is only as strong as, is leadership from the communities. So instead of everybody feeling like, well, if we work together, we lose. No, we work together, we win, right? So that was the basis of some of the things that I did in the beginning of my term.
Let me put a highlighter through something that you said that I think is so important. You brought the Speaker of the Illinois General Assembly, Emmanuel Chris Welsh, to actually two mosques. You brought them to the
Yep.
mosque in Orland Park, which is outside your district. And
Yep.
you brought them to the mosque in Bridgeview, which I think is part of your district or abuts your district.
Yep,
But
part of it.
But the point is that nobody has ever brought the Speaker of the Illinois House to the Arab American community. In fact, you're reaching out to the two big Christian churches, St. George Church in Cicero and St. Mary's Church, I think, in Palos. Those two big Christian churches, as you know, Arabs are spread all over Chicago. They're not just in your district. The churches are outside. But you didn't say I'm only going to go to the churches and mosque in my district. You said I'm going to reach out to everybody to do them a positive service. And that right away, when I heard that, I said, who is this guy? Never heard of him. And not only have I never heard of him, I never heard of anybody doing that. Usually they run from us. We write a check, we donate money, they run from us. And usually our community, we're always fighting among each other about, especially, you know, politics. We're like a lot of communities, you know, there's a lot of division and diversity and differences, but you're the positive magnet that I think is bringing our community together little by little. It has to be a little frustrating, though, because when you deal with a community that is so used to divisive politics, you're trying to say to them, hey, you're being left out and I can help you. And you did a big thing too. And we're going to talk about that. You looked at the state of Michigan, the MBE, Minority Business Enterprise Program that they have. And you said, you asked the question that no Arab asked. You're an honorary Arab American, okay? I don't want it to impact your politics, but you asked the question. You asked the question nobody else asked. Why aren't Arab Americans included in the Minority Business Enterprise Program, the MBE, which gives them a front row seat to $40 billion in contracts for their businesses? They get a preference and a first shot among other minority groups, African Americans, Hispanics, Asian, women. You're the only one that actually opened that door and said, hey, let's do something. Do they, just over the past few months in pushing for this legislation, do you think the community understands how significant that is?
You know, let me go back a little bit in the beginning of your statement. Well, the one thing that I think we all have to understand, right, and we have to embrace, no one of us knows more than all of us.
Right.
And until we live the principles of our faith, let's just talk about our faith, right? Until we live the principles of our faith, which is to love your brothers and sisters, then we're always going to be separated. We're always going to be divided. We're always going to allow people to create narratives that does not exist, because we are allowing people to make us believe that there's not enough to go around. And to me, our communities have to start to say to each other that, hey, listen, we can live in harmony, we can live in peace and prosperity, right? If we don't do that, then our communities are left out, right? As they are right now. So the basis of creating legislation, right? Because the law is what we live by, right? And we're not, I never create legislation and say, well, it's just for us, or it's just for, no, I create legislation that helps everybody. And I say that all the time. Actually, ironically, I was having a conversation with some of our brothers and sisters, and we talked about the ideology behind being able to bid on contracts, right? And I don't know if we want to get into that right now so that the viewers will know the basis of or the opportunity that we all have. So, and let me say this one too, Ray. In my district, I think over 70% of the gas stations in my district is owned by the Arabic community.
Yes.
And the people in my community, everybody is beautiful people, right? But we can't allow other people to dictate to us how we live.
Right.
You know, if we all are opening up businesses and helping young people, and young people need a lot of help right now, you know, post pandemic. And if you look at what COVID really did, it really shined a light on society. Because at that time, COVID, there was no race, right? COVID affected everybody. And some other things came out because when you are not allowed to move around and now you're in those homes, right? Other issues that was already festering, you know, mental health. At some points, people didn't have enough to eat, right? We were not really prepared. I don't think nobody on the planet Earth was prepared to sit still for a year and a half. I think that's very difficult. Not only the unknown, if this thing would take you out, which it did take a lot of us out.
It did.
And now we have to deal with the post-COVID. We have all the inoculations. We have, you know, kids didn't go to school. We had some mental health issues. We had some abuse issues. This is all our communities. This is not one community. This is all of our communities. We have to deal with our children, try to explain to them why they have to be shuttered. And now we have to reboot not only the minds of young people, but physical activity, right?
You get them out there. We got to get them out there, and you got to reach out. Rep Nichols, I got to interrupt you just for a second because we're only here because we got advertisers that, you know, there are no Arab radio stations in this country. Wow. Detroit is the only one that has one that runs Monday through Friday. And thanks to a great journalist, Layla Al-Husseini, a Muslim woman who put this station together, has done more for Arab American communications than anybody I've known. Now, we have a lot of people on our phone lines at 248-557-3300 who want to call, who want to talk to you and from Detroit, and maybe we'll have some from Chicago. That's 248-557-3300. We got to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to continue talking with State Representative Cyril Nichols of the 32nd District, a Democrat who has done more for the Arab American community in Illinois than any other legislator. He is the sponsor of legislation that would give Arab Americans minority business enterprise status, which puts them right on the front row with other minority groups to get a first crack at 30% of $40 billion in contracts. Now it's up to us to get up there. You know, Representative Nichols can open the door, but we got to get up and we got to walk through it. So we have him on there to help explain his who he is, make sure that everybody in the community knows him and what he's doing for us. I'm Ray Hanania here at WNZK AM 690. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll take some phone calls and we'll talk with our guest, State Representative from Illinois, Cyril Nichols. I'm Ray Hanania. We'll be right back right after these messages.
Ziyad brand. Quality products from our family to yours. Ziyad Brothers Importing offers the finest quality products, including brands like Sultan, Kraft, Nestle, Hook, Rico Picon, Donna, and many more. Ask your retailer to carry these fine products because you deserve the very best. For more information, visit our website at www.ziyad.com. That's www.ziyad.com. Ziyad, quality products from our family to yours.
Live performances, concerts, music festivals, and hot jazz. Moments like these are made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. So let's work together to continue to be safe and protect each other. Keep those concerts going. Keep the togetherness going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. To find your vaccine and learn more, visit michigan.gov/COVID vaccine. A message from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services.
Get ready for an amazing experience at Ishtar Restaurant on 15 Mile Road in Sterling Heights. Enjoy excellent hospitality from owners Ali Al-Baghdadi and Fatty Bonham, serving the best in Mediterranean food. Try Chef Ali Al-Baghdadi's famous shawarma, the best Iraqi grills and food, and the best Arabic and international dishes. Dine in our authentic atmosphere or take out. Call 586-698-2585 or check us out on Facebook. Ishtar Restaurant practices all CDC guidelines and is open every day, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Have an amazing experience today at Ishtar Restaurant, 3625 15 Mile Road, Sterling Heights. At Top Rehab Physical Therapy Clinic in Dearborn, we provide effective physical therapy sessions in order to limit pain and discomfort. Top Rehab provides physical therapy care for any diagnosis prescribed by a physician, and we regularly see and treat conditions such as stroke, TMJ, fibromyalgia, sciatica, joint pain, and more. We use a variety of pain management methods, including modalities, soft tissue mobilization, and therapeutic exercise. If you're in need of physical rehabilitation or physical therapy, get the highest quality health care at Top Rehab. Most insurance is accepted, and we're open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday 8 to 6, Tuesday and Thursday 8 to 5, and Saturday 10 till 2. Call for an appointment today at 313-846-0555. That's 313-846-0555. Choose Top Rehab Physical Therapy Clinic on Michigan Avenue in Dearborn. Life's too short to be in pain.
And we're back here at Radio Baladi, Friday, December 9th. I'm your guest host, Ray Hanania, here at WNZK AM 690, which broadcasts to Greater Detroit and Michigan. We're also live on Facebook at facebook.com/US Arab Radio. Our phone number is 248-557-3300. My guest is State Representative Cyril Nichols. And before I get back to my guest, I just want to note a couple things because we mentioned COVID. One of the first people who died from COVID was in the Arab American community in March of 2020. He was a publisher, probably one of the best Arab American newspapers we ever had, outside of the ones that I owned, of course, but I will bow down to him. Mansour Tadros passed away in March 2020 of COVID. And it was a tragedy that really took out the Arab media in Chicago. We really don't have a strong media anymore in the Chicagoland area. We had some good publications, but his newspaper, The Future News, was the voice of Arab Americans and reached out to everybody. So we salute his memory. It'll be 3 years this coming March. And also this past week, member of our community who's always been a big supporter, Wafiq Wali Ayash. Wally passed away just this past week. So I want to offer my condolences to his family. Wally was a businessman. You're in the news all the time. You do good. You get involved in a few little controversies. But overall, I think what Wally did to help the Arab American community was so memorable, he has to be remembered. So, Cyril, we have a caller. I want to bring in Jerry Haba, who's been on the line. He's in Detroit, and he just wants to say hello and maybe ask a question. Jerry, you're on live with State Representative Cyril Nichols.
Thank you, Mr. Ray Hanania. Good morning to you, sir, and thank you for taking my call.
Of course.
And good morning to your guest, State Representative Mr. Cyril Nichols.
Cyril Nichols. I think Cyril is an Arab name, don't you think, Jerry? I don't think he knows he's really Arab. Or we don't know that we're African American. I don't know which way.
Mr. Ray, how you spell the first name?
Cyril. 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 That could be an Arab name.
Yeah, it is, because that remind me.
We claim everything, Cyril. Believe me. Go ahead.
About big basket full of all kind of goodies in Arabic.
There you go. And I'll tell you what, there you go.
Yes.
That's what his name means. He's
All right.
bringing all kinds of goodies that we earned, but have never gotten. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jerry.
Representative to be with Mr. Ray Hanania, the most famous journalist, American Arab journalist for the past 5 decades. So you are
only the FBI thinks that, but that's okay. Go ahead.
Yes. State Representative, thank you for your service and congratulations to you. In the past 15 months, you've been doing job. Some people, they don't do it in 15 years. So we are very proud of you for giving service to all the citizens, all kind of the citizens, white, black, and brown, Asian, all of them. So God bless you. State Representative, just a few hours ago, in the airport in Texas, we are welcome the MBE superstar, the one who was detained in Russia for the past 8 or 9 months, Miss Brittany Griner, and we are very happy to see her back. And I wish if all the 60 detainees, American citizens all over the world, to be back as she came back. But State Representative Nichols, my question to you, and please, I don't want people misunderstand me. We have another detainee, Mr. Paul Wheeler. He's been there almost 4 years in Russian prison. I was kind of disappointed, State Representative. I wish to see not just Brittany only, but Brittany along with Paul Wheeler. So don't you think this is swap of a prisoner? Because I believe United States government allow the former who they call him Dr. Death, merchant of weapon, Victor. He was released and swapped for release of our super basketball star, Miss Brittany Wine. So what do you think? Don't you think it's a little bit kind of disappointment we don't see Mr. Paul, disappointment to Alara, a member of his family, to majority of the American people. This man, he served 4 years, and that's a long time. Even Mr. Richardson, Governor Richardson, he was unhappy. I mean, he was happy for Brittany to be back, but he was disappointed that Paul Wheeler is still in Russian prison. I would love your answer.
Jerry, we're going to talk about that. But Jerry, don't you think that has a little bit to do with racism? That Brittany Griner was criticized, by a lot of people because they didn't like her standing up at the sports events, doing the Pledge of Allegiance. And they do that all the time. We've had so many hostages in countries all over, and they grab some that they return and some that they don't. I mean, we should be celebrating her return and saying, let's get the other guy too. But Jerry, listen, thank you so much for listening and calling. We appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks to Mr. Ray Hanania and to the State Representative, Mr. Nichols. God bless you. And I will hear the answer on the radio. Thank you. God bless you.
Thanks, buddy. What do you think, Cyril, about that? I mean, it was good to see her come back, right? I mean, it just, regardless of how you feel about what she did, like or not like, she shouldn't be there.
Yeah, most definitely. First we have to acknowledge evil on this planet that we occupy.
Yeah.
And we would love for all of our detainees to come back to be released, and it's the politics of it, a prisoner exchange. We got to remember what that was. It was a prisoner exchange.
Right.
When you exchange things, right? You're looking at the worth or the example. And a lot of people are going to say because she was a WNBA superstar, then that was a leverage. But at the same time, we should always understand that this whole atrocity, right? Because that's what it was, is not right for anybody. Circumstances were different. She was detained for supposedly having a illegal substance, The other gentleman was detained for the other reasons. So we can only continue to make sure that Paul's name does not leave the media, and have our ambassadors keep fighting for everybody's release. It's such a bad situation when, I'm pretty sure she was like, and she was vocal about it. Everybody should come back.
Right.
Nobody should be kept over here because, now she's going to be under that pressure, right? They let me out, but they didn't let the other people out, right?
Right.
And
I don't hear that when other people are released, by the way. And
yeah,
I'm not knocking Jerry. I'm just saying that, I think in this country, the far right, they're really not anti-Russian and anti-Putin the way the majority, I think, of Americans are. And I think they're playing a little politics. This guy, Putin, is a terrible person. The war crimes in Ukraine. And then we find ourselves actually debating whether he's a good guy or a bad guy. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, what about all the civilians that are being killed in Ukraine? This is a bad guy. And we have to do whatever we can to get our people back. And if we're able to get her back, great. And let's move on. We'll get everybody else back. I want to go back, Rep. Nichols, just for a minute. And again, radio, you say we got an hour. We got it goes by quick, and I got another break coming up. But start the conversation about MBE. Why is a minority business enterprise so important? Does that mean I'm a minority as a person? Is that the focus? Or does it mean that I'm a disadvantaged group of people and we need to be helped to get our share of the tax dollars that we put into the state that we never see? Well, explain that a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. And the basis, right? The basis of the bill, if you focus on it's bad to be a minority,
right,
then you're part of the oppressive thought process of those that are minorities.
Right.
Because you're saying, well, I don't want to be called a minority. And then you're locking yourself out of resources for your own community, directly to your own family, all because you feel that the word minority represents a negative connotation.
We've been conditioned by that.
Absolutely.
To believe that.
Absolutely.
We've been conditioned to believe that.
Absolutely. So if you want to continue to lock yourself out of resources, then you follow that ideology.
And there's some in the Arab American community who say that. The white people, according to the census, we're white, and I use my air quotes around that. And yet we're not included in the census. And when we move into white Arab, listen, one reason why the Arab stores are in African American communities, because African Americans embrace them. They're not in white communities because the white community discriminates against Arabs. In Oak Lawn, they chased businesses out of Oak Lawn that were Arab American. They did that for years. When an Arab American would open up a business in a white community in Chicago, they'd protest and shut them down. The police chief would come and knock on their door, and the village would refuse to give them a business license. They go into the African American community, and they're embraced and welcomed. And I'd say 95% of the Arab businesses are respectful. They're good. There are always some bad apples in, every business in every community. And sometimes those bad apples get showcased more than the good ones. But that's one reason why the African American community opened their doors to us and allowed us to come in to their community. No one else did that. But we forget that. And we think about, hey, I'm there to make money and I live in a white community. And I'm thinking, wow, that's really kind of weird that kind of thing happens. And here comes an African American legislator who says, hey, I'm not going to look at everybody as to what the color of your skin or your nationality. I'm going to look at you as you're a taxpayer who pays your taxes, a law-abiding citizen. You have the same rights as everybody else. That's the way we should look at people, right?
Absolutely. You summed it up exactly the way I see it. And that's our belief system, by the way.
Yes,
our belief system follows that that train of thought. We're supposed to love our fellow man. Period. End of story. You know, and my kids should be able to go to school with your kids, and I should be able to go to the grocery store that you go to. And, you know, this amazes me when people would rather, but it's an indoctrination. You got to understand, in this culture, in this society, it's an indoctrination to separate people, right? And in Chicago, it's 77 communities.
Yeah.
It's probably the most segregated city in the union.
For power politics, they did that.
Yeah,
it was done to keep people separate so that politicians, some of them, could strengthen their base. Cyril, I have to interrupt us because we got to take another break. And when we come back, let's talk a little bit about this, but also the MBE, because that legislation you introduced is so important to Arab Americans, and they need to understand why it's important, and they need to support you. They need to get behind you. All those Arab businesses need to step back from the conditioning and start seeing themselves saying, hey, what have I really gotten in this country? Why haven't I gotten this sooner? I'm Ray Hanania. This is WNZK AM 690. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll continue our conversation with State Representative Cyril Nichols of the 32nd District. He's a Democrat, and he's been there 15 months, and he's done more for the Arab American community than a lot of legislators who we hear that say they care about us, and they're good people. I'm not knocking them. But this guy stepped up to the plate and did something somebody should have done a long time ago, but didn't. I'm Ray Hanania. We'll be right back right after these messages.
Life is a nonprofit charity that's provided humanitarian aid and development to people and communities for over 25 years, regardless of race, color, religion, or cultural background. When disaster occurs here or around the world, Life for Relief and Development rushes in to provide food, medical aid, and shelter to those in need. Please help improve these efforts. Make your tax-deductible donation to Life now at lifeusa.org or call 248-424-7493. Enjoy the first Syrian-style cuisine in Michigan. At Damas Cuisine and Catering, you'll find a wide selection of Syrian foods and sweets in our menu, like frikek, poisi, grape leaves with steak, mashawi platter, hot mahashi, char-grilled kebab, shawarma, and much more. Get super fast delivery from Damas Cuisine and Catering right to your door. Order online at damascuisine.com/menu and track your order live. Damas Cuisine and Catering, 28841 Orchard Lake Road in Farmington Hills. Call 248-987-4985.
What's my ETA?
Your estimated time of arrival is 9:17.
I'm late. I'll have to punch it.
Speeding will save you just 1 minute and 36 seconds. It will also increase your risk of a crash, as well as the odds that you will be stopped and issued an expensive speeding ticket.
Yeah, but...
In 1 year, there were 22,000 speeding-related crashes in Michigan, resulting in 200 deaths.
If I had someone in the car with me, I'd drive slower. But it's just me.
This is not a logical response. Though you have no passenger, surrounding cars contain 27 others, including 5 children and 1 Labrador Retriever.
How do you know all this stuff?
I know everything, Kevin.
Your risk of a crash increases with every mile you drive over the speed limit. So slow down. Speed enforcement is happening now. A message from the Michigan Office of Highway Safety Planning.
When it comes to reproductive medicine, IVF Michigan Fertility Centers are the recognized leaders. With locations in Bloomfield Hills and 5 other cities in Michigan and Ohio, IVF has experts in all aspects of the field. As a founding member of IVF Michigan Fertility Centers, Dr. Nicholas Shama is one of the leading reproductive endocrinologists in Michigan and Ohio. Dr. Shama has performed over 10,000 IVF cases and has helped thousands of couples fulfill their dreams of parenthood. American board certified in both obstetrics and gynecology and reproductive endocrinology and infertility, Dr. Nicholas Shama is a very caring, compassionate, expert physician that understands not only the medical but also the emotional toil of infertility on his patients. When it's time, get personalized care from Dr. Nicholas Shama at IVF Michigan Fertility Centers in Michigan and Ohio. Call toll-free 855-952-9600, 855-952-9600.
And welcome back to Radio Baladi. It's Friday, December 9th. I'm your guest host, Ray Hanania. And our guest online with us is Cyril Nichols, the state representative from the 32nd District. He's a Democrat. And we're talking about a lot of issues, but really, and he's done something. He's introduced legislation that is so important to Arab Americans. I don't think they appreciate the value of what he's done, which is one reason why I want to give him this platform and help educate the community to understand. I know we're doing this in Detroit, where we have a media, and sadly, we can't do the same thing in Chicago to have live radio, because we're excluded, we're marginalized, we're discriminated against here. But this will circulate all over social media, and we'll get the word out. Cyril, tell us a little bit about that MBE program. And you were talking about, it's not about you being a minority or a non-minority. This is about including people that have been excluded, correct?
You know, the latest, yes, it is. The latest term everybody is using nowadays is equity and inclusion. And it's one thing to say it, then it's another thing to do it.
Right.
Right. And ironically, Ray, I probably will get even more pushback from my community because, people feel like, well, you're opening up the door to other people and,
it's one pie, in other words, and now we got to share it.
To go around, trust and believe that. So we don't have to worry about, and here's contracts you're not getting anyway, right? It's not like, my community is getting a lot of contracts. Right. So what we want to do is work toward that. And the Speaker of the House, the General Assembly, the governor, everybody understands that. And we actually put legislation in place for equity and inclusion. We actually opened up office for equity and inclusion. Now we have to make sure that the legislation actually supports equity and inclusion for everybody.
Right.
Now, again, all I can do is carry the will of the people.
Right.
If somehow somebody does not want to be considered a minority and continue to lose out on opportunity, then so be it. You know, I can't, my daddy used to always say you can take a camel to water, but you can't make them drink.
Right.
Right. And when you look at this whole idea of, what I want to be considered, look at it like this. What do you think people consider you anyway?
Right.
So you can say, well, I'm not a minority. I don't understand the issue with that. Like, I don't understand.
They're looking at the wrong. They're looking at the wrong stuff, right? They're looking at the wrong focus, right?
At the wrong thing.
Yeah,
and most business people understand this, right?
Yeah.
Because business people do business. But then again, you have other people in the community, for whatever reason, that want to call themselves leaders and possibly lead people in another direction.
Maybe it's not about, it's not about the MBE. It's about maybe they don't like you. They want to put a friend in office over there.
Yeah.
It's not about me. Maybe they think, oh, that Ray Hanania, maybe he's too conservative or too liberal. I don't agree with a view, or I dislike whatever, blah, blah, or he's Christian, or whatever. But you do have some good support. Hassan Nijam from the American Arab Chamber of Commerce, big supporter. Samir Khalil from the Arab American Democratic Club, big supporter. I'd love to see all the Arab Americans step up to the plate and support this. There's some other groups that, say they support it, but it isn't enough to say that I support you. I can't that's not enough. I need to go the extra mile and do for you things that you couldn't do for yourself in our community. I need to open the door for you. So we put you on radio because I think this is so important. Arab Americans need to hear about it. Other people can support you by, they can raise funds. They could, make sure that, you're strong enough to be reelected, because if you're not reelected, I know the person who takes your seat is not going to support MBE for Arab Americans. He or she will not reach out to us because they haven't done that. This is the first time it's been done. And when that happens, we need to stand up to the plate and be responsible. Now, you're being responsible to us. We need to be responsible to you. And I know it's not easy dealing in our community because I deal with it all the time.
No, I agree. And I want the viewers to know, Ray, I think it's important that I always tell people I didn't seek this job, the job sought me.
Right.
And if there's somebody people think is better, I live in a district, right? I'm like, I'll support it. I'm going to do the work. That's our motto. We do the work. And if people such as yourself, Ray, that understand what that means, I really appreciate it, because most people, we don't, in my mind, we don't look at this from a perspective that we can support each other, we can live together, we can actually make a real difference in a country that sometimes, often don't want us to make a difference. We just want what everybody else has: a good school, a good park, a safe community, an economic engine.
And it's our money. It's our money. I mean,
It's our
Americans,
money.
we
That's
pay
right.
taxes, and 30% of $40 billion is $12 billion.
Yeah.
That's more than enough for a lot of people. If they got $1 million out of that 12 billion, some of these Arab businesses would be doing really well. We've never got any major contracts from the state of Illinois. We've never received any. Our organizations, that's why somebody like you that says, hey, these people are no different than anybody else.
Yep.
The community needs to recognize what you're doing. Tell us about what is the state? Well, you actually got this, you had the idea to help us, but you were looking around the country and you saw that this was done in Michigan.
Yep.
Right. And it was actually passed. People in Michigan are benefiting from it. The people in Illinois are not. Tell us a little bit, how hard has this been to get it through? Do you have the support you need? Because it has to be supported by a majority of the members of the legislature.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is how we look at it, right? Absolutely. I wish I was the smartest guy in the room. I always tell people that when you're in a room with a bunch of people that think they're the smartest people in the room, it's kind of interesting. But when you look at the formulation of this idea, right, it's already in existence in Michigan.
Right. It's working.
And it's working, right? And then the common sense approach of this idea. This is common sense, right? The bill is filed, and I'll be working to get it through the state legislature. You need 60 votes in the House, 30 in the Senate, and the governor to sign it, right? This is where we all come together. This is where we say, listen, we want to support this bill. We want to get this across the finish line. And I have no doubt in my mind, and this is where we all go into prayer. And, we know this is the right thing to do. And in righteousness, we shall prevail. So this is just me by faith that we get this done. It's filed, it's ready to go. So when I go back down in January, I'm going to be pushing it. I'll talk to the legislation and say, listen, I really want this to be on the board so we can vote on it.
Yeah, I know that anybody, in my opinion, anybody who doesn't support this doesn't support the community. And I don't care what your ethnic background is, what your racial background is, what your religion is. If they can't support this, that's a sign that says, I don't like Arabs. That there's no clearer message in my mind that if somebody doesn't step up to the plate, you said they need 60 votes, in the Illinois legislature, and they need half of the Illinois Senate to support this. I can't imagine somebody saying, no, I don't want to do it. I can't imagine somebody not getting up there and calling you already and saying, hey, this is from our community. Our community should be the one saying, hey, what can we do to help you? Help us. I like that scene from Jerry Maguire. Help me, help you. You don't need to convince us. We need to convince ourselves. I think we got to take one more break, Cyril, and then I'm going to give you the time to talk about other issues, because I know that we've been focused on all this. Let's do our last break, and then we'll have about 10 minutes to talk about other issues that you feel are important in the district that the community should be aware of? And then give us some information on how can they reach out to you? How can they contact you? What can they do? Your office, your website, all that stuff. Let's take a quick break. I'm Ray Hanania. We're going to be right back right after this message.
Are you going to start a restaurant or a grocery store soon? Do you need floor plans and designs? Call Najee Abood at 734-744-9796. Do you want to buy kitchen and restaurant equipment at discount prices? Call Najee Abood now, 734-744-9796. New Concept Products and Design, the trademark of kitchen equipment. 5% discount on all purchases of $75,000 or more. New Concept Products and Design, new location, 31185 Schoolcraft in Livonia. Learn more at www.newconceptproducts.com. Call Najee Abood, 734-744-9796.
Are your hands feeling numb? Do you feel pain opening up a jar, turning a key? Are you noticing that your elbow and your shoulder are becoming stiff? Or were you recently injured in your arm? Hello, I'm Dr. Albanjit Katranji, and at the Katranji Hand Center, which just recently opened down the street from the Somerset Mall, we can provide you with the latest in hand, wrist, elbow, and shoulder care. Visit us at www.katranjihandcenter.com to learn the latest techniques that we have to offer you, and I look forward to taking care of you.
Visit us in Troy at 1565 West Big Beaver Road, Building F, or call Katranji Hand Center for an appointment at 248-869-4263. That's 248-869-4263. Kashat's Mediterranean Market in Shish Kebab offers a great array of your favorite Mediterranean meals. Meals range from lamb specialties, shawarma sandwiches, and seafood dinners. Plus, they offer big trays of your favorite food and so much more. Kashat's Mediterranean Market in Shish Kebab is located at 32839 Northwestern Highway in Farmington Hills and is open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So stop in or call Kashat's today at 248-538-9552. That number again, 248-538-9552. Kashat's Mediterranean Market in Shish Kebab will definitely leave you satisfied.
When you're looking for the best in optical care, Dr. Imad Nakash is your doctor to see. With years of experience and thousands of successful procedures performed, you can trust your eyes to Dr. Imad Nakash. See Dr. Imad Nakash and his professional staff for your eye care needs. There's 2 locations to serve you. In Hazel Park, call 248-336-3937. 248-336-3937. In Rochester Hills, call 248-299-3937. That's 248-299-3937.
And welcome back to Radio Baladi. It's Ray Hanania. It is Friday, December 9. And we're coming to the final minutes of the show. I'm just honored to have with me really somebody that I admire. Less than 15 months, he's done so much introducing the MBE program. His Instagram is Rep Nichols 32, I believe. And Twitter, if you want to, you got to follow him because you got to show support. His Twitter handle is at Rep Nichols on Twitter, REPNICHOLS. You got to follow him on Twitter and show support. When people support us, we at least the minimum we should do is support them. Cyril, we got one other caller. Zena, I think, is on the line at 248-557-3300. Pardon me? Oh, she did. Okay. Cyril, the floor is yours. What else do you want to say to the community? What other things do you think are important? I mean, obviously, we're interested in ourselves, but we're part of the big society. But what are some of the things that that you want to tell us or talk to the community about?
One of the things that I've been really focused on in the district is making our district the model district in the country, because we have you name it, we have it in our district, and I don't want any part of our district to look any different when it comes to opportunities, parks, playgrounds, schools. I don't want any part of my district, any part, to look any different. I want us all to have the resources, but more than that, I really want all of us to come out and start to actually communicate and teach each other. You know, is when people create narratives about our communities, they're successful because we don't talk to each other. You know, I don't know, Ray, when I was growing up, I knew everybody on my block. I knew everybody in the entire neighborhood, you know. And I was born and raised in Cabrini Green, right here in Chicago, Illinois. We knew everybody from Chicago Avenue to Division to North Avenue, right? And this is important. This is very important. And we had everything in Cabrini Green. We had everything contrary to popular belief, right? And if you understood the history, it was a community that even in its transitions, we still had diversity. So we're only as strong as the communication that we have between each other, man. And we really need to, our leadership, right? From our churches to our community centers, you know, to our educational institutions, we have to get it together. Like the adults, we have to get it together, and we have to stop teaching in our own living rooms, you know, the wrong thing. And I think what one thing that we can learn from our prior president is that it's like he gave everybody an opportunity to actually come out and think and boldly say the things that they've been talking about around their kitchen tables. And that divided our country even more. And we can't be a part of that divisive rhetoric. You know, the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, every book of any system of belief teaches love for your brother and sister. But we know that there's hate always around the corner. We can't be a part of that. We cannot be a part of that. We have to start to love on each other, man, and respect each other. And some of these things that leaders make up, you know, is not true. But when you're in a leadership position, you have to be responsible for the rhetoric that you put out. You know, we lost a lot of Americans, you know, in the insurrection. You know, we lost a lot that day. And we're still feeling the remnants of it. And that's wrong. And it really is. People lost their lives. You know, people burying their loved ones, you know, because of rhetoric. That's all it was rhetoric.
Yeah. Politics.
You know, we live
dividing.
in a democracy, man. We don't live in an autocracy. We live, you know, you voice your opinion out of freedom of speech. You voice it. As long as you're respectful of people, you're not harming people, you know, and then you work together. I think what I would like for us to continue, Ray, and you're absolutely right. And you're absolutely needed. You know, I think this is the will of God that you're in a position to acknowledge and bring people together.
My mom's from Bethlehem. Jesus
people.
is my cousin.
Yes, right. You know, we need more.
Yes, we do. We need more.
It can't just be Ray and Cyril, right?
It doesn't. And we're like right up against the end of the show, but I want to tell people, you look up State Representative Cyril, Cyril Nichols, Nichols, on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. You can find him. It's not hard. And if you want the legislation, this MBE legislation, you go to www.ilga.gov. You can get that, or you email me, but reach out to Cyril Nichols on social media, support him, give him the support he needs to support us. And, you know, if we don't, that's our bad. If we don't get these contracts for our businesses, this is our money we give to the state, and the state should give some of it back to everybody. And we're not getting any of it back. And here is an African-American legislator who is standing up to say to Arab Americans, and it doesn't matter whether he's African-American or we're Arab American, he's saying, I want everybody to be treated fairly. Cyril, one final word from you, and then we got to go. Anything you want to say quick?
Well, first I want to thank my office manager, LaShondra Stevens, for getting up this early. And making sure that I was on. And like I said, I couldn't do things without her and the rest of my team. And the last thing, you know, I want to say to the community is that, yeah, reach out to us, reach out to us. And Michigan, I can't wait to come to Michigan,
Well,
send me an
I'll
invitation.
meet you there. We'll get some good Middle Eastern food. They got the best.
Right. And we'll be there.
All right.
All
right. I'm Ray Hanania.
That was my kid to school.
That was State Rep Cyril Nichols joining us with that. It's so important. Find him on social media, support him because you're supporting our community. I'm Ray Hanania. I want to thank Layla Hosseini. And again, a reminder, a memorial to Mansour Tadros, who passed away almost 3 years ago, and Waleed Wally Ayash, who passed away also. A shout out to their families, our condolences. I'm Ray Hanania. Hanania.com is where you can see all my information. Hanania.com. Have a great week. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye, everybody.
WNZK.